Good morning. This is a bit of a different one today, I thought. Usually I'm down here recording sunset, and here I am. Well, it's a little after sunrise, obviously. You can see it's light all around. This beautiful February morning on the lake when we get this early morning mist haze come in. It just gives the lake that extra air. So today I'm recording this to talk about the Trecena of Kame. And there's some particularly interesting things. I mean, the Trecena of Kame, for me, it's always going to be powerful. It's always this death and then rebirth, as we'll see, because the Trecena of Kame is followed by the Trecena of Kawok, which I think, isn't it interesting that we get the Trecena of death followed by the Trecena of rebirth? I mean, it is like literally the natural way of the world. But what's even more interesting is that the Trecena of Kame this time falls right over this period which incorporates the new Mayan solar year, where we're going through this transitionary period, the 5 days of the Sapin Q'ij. Some people call them Wayeb, but really here it should be Sapin Q'ij. And then the Mayan New Year, which will come in on 12 Noch, and then we go through 13 Tash, and then we start on 21st of February, the Trecena of Kawok, the Trecena of Rebirth. So it's literally like the end of the Trecena of Kame is going through the death, as it were, of the old Mayan solar year. And so for me, this year I feel maybe even more powerful, or even more powerfully, that this is a really big time of transition. This is a really big time of change. This is a really big time to be leaving some stuff behind and making the space for the new birth to come in, which will happen in the next Trecena. So, Kame representing death, representing the ancestors. Kame representing facing our fears. Now, when we make ceremony and we're calling the Kame days, we're often giving our candles, or we give our candles to honor our ancestors, to honor the dead within our community, our friends and our families. And there's that aspect of it. And so certainly it has this connection to the dead, it has this connection to the ancestors. But of course, I always like to look at it from its connection within the Popol Vuh as well. And Kame, the Lord's Kame, were the ones that the hero twins went to face in order to level up. The ones who brought fears, the ones who set seemingly impossible tasks that the hero twins had to overcome. And when they overcame them, they then kind of like moved up to the next level. They moved up from being holy warriors to magicians, as it were. Okay? When we read kind of like they go down there, they're on their mission, they're on their quest, and they're starting in this kind of like what we could call like the base human state. They go through the death process in Xibalba. They are resurrected, and when they're resurrected, they're these vagabond actor magician types that are able to do all of these amazing feats. And that was through facing the death process. That was through facing the Lord's Kame and overcoming them, coming out the other side at a higher level. So this is why I get excited about Kame, both as a day and as a Trecena, because it's saying, kind of like, okay, so sorry to use, like a very cliched phrase, but literally like no pain, no gain. It's like this is the things where we're facing stuff, where we're looking at the things which have been tormenting us, like the Lords of Xibalba, as it were, where we're looking at the things that frighten us and say, right, okay, enough's enough. I've had enough of being tormented by this thing. I've had enough of living in fear of that thing. It's time for me to make a difference. It's time for me to face my fear. It's time for me to level up. So this is why I see it so powerful. And then when you combine it with the new year, which is coming around, I'll probably make another video about the new year, because that's going to be, kind of like a process which will start on the day 7, which will be next week, as it were. And it will take us through five days of Tapping Q'ij, followed by the New Year process. And so I think that deserves a video on its own. But that's, it's like this change, this time of letting something die so that we can move forward. So we're going to begin the Trecena of Kame, of course, on the day 1 Kame. 1 Kame, Hun Kame, the beginning of the challenge. Okay? In the Popol Vuh, the two kind of chief lords of the underworld are 7 Kame and 1 Kame. 7 Kame, you see, happened 20 days ago. Okay? And 7 Kame was kind of like the final lord of the underworld that the hero twins had their victory over, to move into a new era. 1 Kame was the first. And this is kind of like a restarting. And, it's kind of like when you've finished a quest, looking around saying, right, okay, what's next? Who's next? What am I going to deal with now? In my process of growth, in my process of transformation, in the process of the evolution of my soul, what am I going to face to take me up to the next level? What am I going to, take on next? And sometimes, when we go through a process and we come out the other side and go, wow, that wasn't so difficult, or wow, kind of like now I feel empowered to go and look for something else, to say, right, okay, if I could overcome that, I can overcome this. And 1 Kame may well bring those kind of things up. It's time to let go. It's time to begin the phase, to begin the time of overcoming something. So it's the beginning of the process to go through a fear, to face it. We can also see the number of birth, of beginnings, of rebirth in some ways. Reconnection with the ancestors, and maybe you've kind of like become a little bit disconnected from things or whatever. And maybe sometimes, we get our fears come out because we've become disconnected. 1 Kame gives us the opportunity to reconnect with our ancestors, to reconnect with their understanding, so that we can move forward, face our fears, and move up to the next level. So after 1 Kame comes 2 Q'ij. Well, I speak to you from this tree place, from this mountain place today. I always feel that Atitlan in particular is a very Q'ij place, because it's very much connected with the natural world. And that natural world that brings out our strength, that brings out our connection. On the day 2 Q'ij, the number 2 brings up choices, and they may be what I'd like refer to as stark reality, okay? Because it's left or right, it's 1 or 0, it's heads or tails, it's got that binary nature, that dualistic nature to it. And so we see these choices, is it this or is it this? And when we see it with Q'ij, well, Q'ij is a very strong Nawal, the Nawal of the natural world. And the understanding of connecting with Q'ij is something where we draw our power, our strength, where we draw our wisdom and our understanding from the natural world. And so maybe as we go into this Trecena of Kame on the day 2 Q'ij, there may be questions that come up, and they may be these it's either a 1 or a 0. There is no in between. It's a heads or a tails. So you can't have the side of the coin. So which one do you choose? Well, 2 Q'ij would say that if you are stuck in a position where you are unable to make the choice between the left path and the right path, then a walk in the wilderness, a walk in the woods, a walk in the mountains may provide you with the understanding of which direction to take. So this is Yoko, where you can find your wisdom in the wilderness on the Chol Q'ij day. So moving from Chol Q'ij, we then move to 3 Anil. Now, Anil is often seen as a very, very fortunate day. Anil representing the harvest, representing the yellowing of the corn. It can be seen as a happy day. It's about coming to maturity, whether it's our crops and our fields, whether it is our flowers, as it were, our corn coming to ripeness, our projects, our plans and ideas, everything coming into that abundant ripeness. So we've got this happiness which is associated with Anil. But here we have it connected with the number 3. Now, the number 3, for me, is a number which is, it can be very, very creative. The number 3 can be, well, in some ways, it can be quite powerful, but that power is all coming from within. And so when I deal with a 3-day, I'm always kind of thinking about going inside. I'm thinking about the inner focus that the 3 brings. And when we see it combined with Anil, it's about looking for the gold within, as it were, about inner maturity. And it's kind of interesting because when we're looking within, this can also suggest that, like, looking on the outside might not be an appropriate course of action. And it might actually even feel kind of challenging or something like that. Sometimes you might be looking all around you for what you're expecting to find and you can't find it anywhere. And then you find it, it's like you're looking for your keys and you realise you had them in your pocket all along, or whatever the case may be. But this is like looking for abundance. This is about looking for maturity. And this is saying it's time to go within. So the 3 days are great days to be spending in your home, to be spending in your heart, and looking for the resources, looking for the joy, looking for the abundance that you might need to get you through this Kame Trecena. It's like you're not going to find it outside. And it is always that thing of like, if we want to find our true happiness, has to start from within. And so 3 Anil may well bring that kind of understanding up. From 3 Anil, we then go into 4 Toch. I often have seen this again through the ceremony in Anil, where, kind of like we receive the cacao beans, we're planting and asking for the abundance to come in. And then on the Toch, we're giving back. It's our opportunity to give thanks. It's our opportunity to make our payment for what we've received. And so Toch days are very much like that. It's connected with ceremony. It's connected with giving back. And here we see that Toch connected with the number 4, the physical plane of existence. And so this is physically making offerings. This is physically doing something. So Toch, what can we offer? Well, we can offer our energy. We can offer our service. Maybe it's time to clean up the beach. Maybe it's time to help out in the community. And as always, you'll find in the description of this video, you'll find links for Conogel, links for Odim, links for the Popol High, in where you might want to put some physical energy in the way of a donation to those organizations for the good work that they do. Maybe 4 Toch is also a day for you to go out and do something, as I say, with your hands, like cleaning up the area or whatever it might be, helping out. This is what helps keep us in balance. Now, Toch, it said, when Toch gets out of balance, it can bring sickness. So again, if if things have not been going right for you or something like that, maybe it's time to give a bit back in the physical realm. This will help you through your transformational period, because Toch is also, it's kind of like, it's also paying it forward. It's not just sort of like paying for what you've received. That's a big part of it. It's also saying, like, by making these actions, by doing this work, I'm keeping myself in the, kind of like in the black, as it were, in credit. Okay, so we don't necessarily do it for that, but that is the repercussion of doing the work to support doing your service. From 4 Toch, we will then be moving into 5 Tzi. So Tzi, the Nawal of faith and loyalty. Tzi, the Nawal of justice and law. Now we're going through the Trecena of Kame. We're going through the Trecena of transformation, of facing our fears and all this kind of thing. What do we need in order to face our fears? Well, we're going to need courage. We're going to need faith in our path. We're going to need loyalty to our transformation. All of those kind of things are things that we need, and 5Z brings that. But it also brings it with the number 5, which can represent work and having to put our energy into it. So, of course, the 5 for me doesn't really kind of like say, this is just something that drops in your lap. This is saying, right, okay, you're going to have to put your energy in. The energy that you put into it is going to, kind of like be multiplied and come back. That's the way that the 5 for me works. Every time we put a little bit more in, we get more back than we expect. And here, when we connect it with faith, when we connect it with loyalty, when we connect it with unconditional love, we can also see that 5Z may bring some tests of those things. Tests of your faith in your path, tests of your loyalty to spirit, or whatever it might be, to your own, kind of like evolutionary process. It brings it up. It needs to be tested once in a while so that you can then take it forwards. So on 5Z, it may well be that, things come in and you think, what, really? Again? Oh, the things that test are like, are we really strong enough for this path? Are we really on this path? Are we really, do we really want to face those fears and transform? 5Z may bring you the tests, but of course, we put our energy in, if we hold our course, if we hold our faith in ourselves and our abilities or whatever it might be, we hold our faith in that, we're going in the right direction, then it will come back repaid. And so for me, I think that there may be some tests of faith. It's like really working on it to kind of like make sure that it happens. From 5Z, we then move into 6 bats. 6 bats is a wonderful day. Bats, the Nawal of creativity. Bats, the Nawal of weaving, of arts, of bringing the beauty into the world through our talents, through our skills, through what we can do. And here, combined with the number 6, the number of ultimate stability, the number of family, 6 bats is a great day to be stabilizing any kind of creative project that you might have going. But one of the other things about bats is that bats is seen as extremely clever. Now, bats is often connected with the animal totem of the monkey, and the monkey is one of the few animals that will not just use tools. Many animals use tools, but the monkey will actually work out how to create the tool that it needs to perform an action. It's very, very, very smart. It figures stuff out. We see that combined with the number 6, this number of ultimate stability, the number that connects the heart of the sky and the heart of the earth to the physical realm. It's like drawing on the heart of the sky and the heart of the earth in order to bring what it is that you're creating into the physical realm. It's also about drawing on the heaven and earth in order to understand how to overcome problems, how to create solutions in the physical realm. So this is exactly what we need as we go through this Trecena of transformation, of facing our fears. 6 bats is where we get that eureka moment. or it could be. We take our time to connect to the sky and the earth. We have this possibility of manifesting this amazing creation into physical reality. So, as we've gone through, you might have found the beginning few days of the Trecena of Kame to be, a little bit on the harsh side. I mean, this is strong work that we're doing. 6 bats is that kind of like that reminder that it's okay, things will work out. We're skilled enough, we're clever enough, and if we connect above and below, then there's assistance there to help us to manifest into our world, into the physical, whatever it might be that we might need to overcome the problems that we're going through. Okay, now, of course, if we go down the purely creative route, it's a great time for bringing your creativity into the physical realm, for, kind of like receiving divine inspiration for what it is you're creating. So again, kind of like a great day to be doing anything connected with the arts. Now, on the day 7 we begin these 5 days called Chol Q'ij. They are the 5 directionless days at the end of the solar year. And different traditions, I suppose, use different ways or have different ways of doing things. And what I was always of the understanding is that these 5 days are 5 days of retreat. You get people that they don't go out, they don't cut their hair, they don't wash their hair, they don't make ceremony, they don't do these kind of things because the energy of the days is kind of like a little bit disorganized. Those 5 final days, we may go through periods like that ourselves. I mean, I often think about how, when I was a kid and the time between Christmas and New Year, for example, when you're not sure what day it is and, you're in your PJs all day or whatever it might be. But those are not days for kind of like going and doing stuff. They're days for wrapping up one year and going into the next. A period of 5 days of reflection, of meditation, and that kind of thing. So we've left our 6 bats. That can be a great creative day to wrap things up. And then we're going into 7 As I said, I'll make another video about the Chol Q'ij. But what does 7 bring? Well, 7 I think if you've watched my videos before, you know that I feel this special relationship with 7 because I ended up on a pyramid on the top of 7 at El Mirador, and it was showing me exactly what I was seeing, which is it's coming to the end of a journey. But from the top of the pyramid, it's saying pick the new journey. Now, isn't that an interesting day to begin those 5 days of meditation and reflection on? Isn't it an interesting thing to be in the middle of this Kame Trecena? It's saying we've got to this point. We've come to the conclusion. It's the end of the road for something. What's it the end of the road for? Well, you'll be the judge of that. You'll have an idea of what it is that you've come to, finality with. But looking at it from the point of view of that journey that I was talking about, when you're on top of the pyramid, well, at Mirador, when you're looking out over this vast sea of trees. It's beautiful. It's an amazing, amazing place to go. And all you can see around you from the top of this huge structure, 72 meters above the jungle floor, you're looking out at a sea of green. And in this sea of green, there's the occasional islands. And those occasional islands are actually other Maya cities. And so you'll be looking out at Nakbay, you'll be looking out at Calakmul, something like 40 kilometers off into the distance. You'll be looking out at La Florida or El Tintal. And it's like it's showing you your next destinations. Like I'm at El Mirador. Tomorrow I'm going to go to Nakbay, and so I'm seeing, okay, look, there's the top of the principal structure at Nakbay, just poking up, just above the jungle canopy. It's showing me my new direction. And so this, as I say, and on this day that begins a period of reflection and contemplation, you're looking out from your point of like, I've got to the top of the pyramid. This was my goal. My goal was to stand on top of that pyramid. Now I'm being shown which road to take next. So it's about the choosing of which path to take next. Having completed one, where do you go next? This is a wonderful contemplation for a 7-echt day. And it may be, sometimes we come to the end of the road of something. Sometimes it can be an abrupt ending. We're like, oh, well, I guess that's done then. I guess that's finished then. Time to move on to something else. But it's also, like, for me, the 7 is asking us to make choices. It's like, look, you're being shown all the best possible routes, all the best possible continuing paths. It's like, right, okay, this one, in this Trecena of Kame, in this Trecena of death, it's like that path is over. It's time to move on. You've been shown the path to go to, but it's up to you. You can't walk the other 7 paths simultaneously. You just got to choose one. So it's a great day for that contemplation of what has finished and what will become new. From the day 7-ech, we then move into the day 8-ach. 8-ach, so ach, the nawal of house and home. Ach is the nawal of guidance. Ach is the nawal of the ancestors, in some ways. Because it is the ancestors that set up that home, the ancestors that set up that guidance. Ach is this nawal of leadership, the baston of office, which helps us to understand which direction to go in. It's the nawal of the masculine. It's the nawal of leadership within the village. Now, for us, for me rather, Ach really represents the harmony in the home and those who keep it, the harmony in the community and those who keep it. And on Ach days, we make offerings to give thanks for our courage, for our strength, for our bravery, to stand up for what is right, to keep our home and community in balance, in harmony. We also see on Ach days, it's about the strengthening of our spine. It's about doing things within your home. It's about making sure, I'm going to use the phrase, getting your house in order. Okay? So this is something that we can, is particularly important on Ach days. And of course, this is like within those final 5 days. You see how it ties up really nicely this year? And we see it with the number 8. And the number 8 representing wholeness. Now we can see it as the 1 of birth and the 7 of endings. And it's the completion of the whole. It's understanding that we need the light and the dark. We need the night and the day. We need to accept things in and we need to put things out. And on that day, when we combine it with Ach, 8 is the day of ceremony. And so, whilst I said, Zapping is not a great time to be having ceremony, but if you were having a ceremony to bring harmony into your home, 8-ach would be the day to do it. We can also see that 8-ach might have us kind of like looking at the balance of leadership, understanding that sometimes we need to have the authority and sometimes we need to have the compassion. A leader, a true leader, needs to have both authority and compassion, and the 8 brings us the understanding of how to balance the two in order to bring greatest harmony to our home. And so this might also be something that we meditate on or we pray for on the day 8-ach. Maybe we've been too authoritative and we need a bit more compassion. Maybe we've been too compassionate and we need a bit more authority. When we get it in perfect balance, that's what brings true harmony. And sometimes, kind of like approaching those things can scare us. It can worry us, kind of like we don't want to be seen as the authoritative one. And we don't want to be seen as, kind of like the weakness or whatever. 8-ach helps us to bring both of those things into balance so that we can lead, so that we can bring harmony in a more effective way. From 8 Ach, we then move into 9 Ish. So another powerful, beautiful day. Possibly the most feminine day of all of the Nawalas, of all of the calendar. We have Ish representing our connection with the heart of the earth. Ish representing our connection with the altars and the shrines. Ish representing our ability to bring into our world what it is that our families need, what it is that our communities need. Ish, the one who makes the offerings at the shrines. Ish, who represents the altars themselves. And as I said, obviously the connection with the earth, we could say Mother Earth as well, has a very, very feminine essence to it. And here we see it with the number 9, which is the number of the feminine as well. So this is why I say, this is the most feminine day of all, as far as I can determine. So it is a day of women's magic, let's put it like that. That's the quick and easy way to put it out there. It is a day of recognizing, acknowledging, and showing our gratitude to Mother Earth and to the women in our lives, to our mothers in particular. 9 Ish could also be a time to bring things to life, to bring our connection to the earth to life. Again, it's it's about going out there and really going and connecting and saying, yes, I am a part of this world. Now, for some people in the northern hemisphere, this time in February is not always the nicest time to go and put your heart directly on the earth. It's a bit cold for that kind of thing. But it's also the time when, particularly in the British Isles, we've just gone through Imbolc, and we start to see things waking up. Imbolc in the Celtic calendar is seen as the beginning of spring. And it's when the snowdrops come out. It's when the ewes have the first lambs. And you see the life coming back to the world just a little bit. Just spring is just starting to creep in. And what a beautiful time for 9 to fall, when we really see that life coming from the earth once more. And so, again, yes, it might be 5 days of retreat that you might be in, but it's a great time to go and connect with Mother Earth in whichever way you see or feel fit. From 9 Ish, we're then going into 10 Tzikin. 10 Tzikin, community vision. Again, it's in days of reflection, so bear that in mind. But Tzikin being the one that brings us clarity of sight. Well, this is a nice thing to have in our retreat days, isn't it? Where we're kind of like we're receiving that clarity, the clear vision. And the 10 representing community. And it's like, it's a vision for community. It's a vision for understanding how we can fit in. Now, Tzikin, the Nawal of prosperity, this is making sure that what is around us thrives. Our family, our home, our community in particular. And here it is that focus on community. How can we help the community to thrive? By engaging our vision. It's a day to ask for that vision, maybe how we can integrate better with our community. How we can all work together to bring out prosperity for the community. 10 Tzikin is a day to ask for that vision, the day to work on it. From 10 Tzikin, we then move to 11 Achmach. Now that will fall on the last day of the Tzaping Ich. And I talked about those days being days of reflection, days of finishing things up, of like what we want to leave in the old year and what we're going to take forward. Well, Achmach is all about forgiveness, right? It's about acceptance of who we are, being human beings. And here we see it with the number 11 all over the place. The number 11 that doesn't follow any kind of set path, that intuitively follows different ways. And here it's with regards to forgiveness. So we're finishing these 5 days of meditation, we're finishing these 5 days of retreat, of going within, on 11 Achmach, which has could be seen as a day of reflection of what do we want to forgive? What do we want to be forgiven for? What are we going to leave in the year 11 Ech? okay, because it's the final day of that 11 year, is to say, right, okay, we come to this final day. What are we ready to leave behind, to move on from? Achmach days can also be very sensual days. They're days where we recognize the joy of being a human, of being in this physical, sensual body. And we then, understand that we're not perfect either. Well, we are perfect. We're all perfect, right? We're perfect in our messiness. We're perfect in our mistakes, in our errors, and all of that kind of thing. That's what being human is all about. I mean, I would say it would be no fun if that didn't happen, and some of those things are definitely not fun when they do happen, so maybe I shouldn't say it quite like that. But that's what gives us our story. That's what gives us our life. But we can't carry these things around. We don't want to carry these burdens of blame or shame or guilt. They're not what we're here to carry around. What a fantastic day to leave them behind. This final day of the solar year, this final day of the Zapping Ik, of the Wayeb, saying, right, okay, you know what? Write a list of all the things that happened that you're still like annoyed about or upset about or something like that. Write that list, burn it away, leave it behind. Say, right, okay, tomorrow we start a new year. I'm going into that new year fresh and clean. I don't need to carry any of that. Have a day of forgiveness, okay? Because then we go into 12 Noch, which will be the new year. Now, like I said, I will do a separate video on Zapping Geek and new Year. Maybe I'll do two separate videos, one for Zapping Geek and one for New Year. Let's see how things go. But the day 12 Noch is about the consolidation of knowledge. We have the number 12 representing bundling it all together. Sometimes I see 12 like writing your autobiography. Now here it's combined with Noch. And Noch is about knowledge, it is about thought, it is about figuring stuff out. We've got a whole year of that. But if we just focus on the day, if we just focus on what we're invoking on that day, we can see it as consolidating our knowledge, consolidating our understanding, all the information that we're carrying, bringing it together to help us to understand how to solve problems. That's what we're doing with 12 Noch. And so if you wanted to set that as an intention for the coming Maya solar year, if you wanted to set that as an intention for the day, it's about looking through everything that you've learned in life and say, right, okay, how can I use this to take me forwards? What am I going to do on that 12 Noch day? Well, maybe you're going to start an autobiography or something like that. Maybe you're going to start your, like opus magna or your masterpiece or whatever it is, using all of the information that you've collected throughout your life to bring it into one place. So it's a great day and maybe a great year for doing that. And then finally we come to the end of the Kame Trecena on the day 13 Tash. So if you hadn't managed to leave everything behind in the Zapping Ich, this is the day when you can finally be cut free of it. The day Tash, the day of the warrior, the day of the healer, here combined with the number of ancestors, here combined with the number of spirit. So, yes, okay, we can use the term spiritual warrior on that briefly. We can also use spiritual healer on that day. 13 Tash, an incredibly powerful day. Now remember, a little goes a long way. Tash is a very, very sharp blade. We kind of if we're making an incision, if we're having surgery, we only just need a little a little pressure in order to cut. Okay, so be careful, like with with blades on 13 Tash in particular. Well, we also see like 13 Tash as being the inspiration that comes from the ancestors, the inspiration that comes from spirit, that helps us to heal, that helps us to cut away what needs to be removed, that helps us to stand up as a spiritual warrior and say, look, I'm, kind of like I have my ancestors with me and I'm ready to move forward. Now, isn't this what we're working to when we started with Kame? Where are we ending up? like this warrior that's moving forward to face the fears. We've gone through all of that work, and now we're emerging the other side as that valiant spiritual warrior with our sword in hand, ready to go on that quest and ready to face our demons, ready to face whatever fears that life or our spirit has to offer us. So it's a great day to remember your alliance with spirit. It's a great day to remember your connection with the ancestors, to take that in and to understand how we can use it to bring us the courage of the spiritual warrior, how we can use it to bring healing and peace to our world, because that is the ultimate goal of Tash, is to cut away the evil from the world in order to bring purity, in order to bring things to the state of peace. So, it's a bit longer than usual today. I got a bit more inspired than before, so I hope that you found that interesting. And as I say, I'll drop a couple more videos about the Chol Q'ij and some ideas around that and the new year. And I'll see you. If not then, I'll see you on 1 Kawok for the Trecena of Kawok, the Trecena of rebirth following this Trecena of death. Thank you.